We have this huge video library here at the Practical Sportsman we've collected over the past 20 years, and there's many things in there that I've taped and actually totally forgotten about, but great stuff. And what brings this to mind is an article I saw in the Detroit News that Dave Ritchie wrote about the legendary Fred Bear. Just so happens that the same week that I had my 55th birthday, Fred Bear would have been 99 years old. So I looked up in our database to see what I had on Fred Bear. I have about 45 minutes of interviews with him. Let's take a look at some uncut footage that was taken at the Anderson Archery Clinic, 1983, when Fred Bear came through, and we had a fun little chat. Well, you might as well just roll it, and I'm just going to chat with Fred Bear.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Okay, well, we'll just chat for a second and get into it. Fred Bear, how does it feel to be back home?
Feels good. Feels good. I get cooled off.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's warm down in Florida.
I bet it's warm down there. Have you been fishing up on the Au Sable?
Yeah, I was up there. I got up there Friday night and I had Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
What's that, 5 limits then you got? No?
I got one small fish. It was raining and somebody, I guess the Indians put on a rain dance or something. It was raining, miserable and cold, and there were no hatches. So.
Well, those trout are really hard to hit with an arrow anyway.
Well, yeah, hard to hit with an arrow. You can get pretty hungry doing that, I would guess.
Yeah, well, you're quite a fly fisherman, though. I'm just kidding about that.
Yeah, I'm a fly fisherman, yeah. We don't shoot game fish, just rough fish, carp, suckers, you know, yeah, with a bow.
Archery's changed a lot since you started in the business. When did you start?
1933. You weren't born yet.
No, I know it. Thanks. You weren't making long bows. You're making recurves?
Oh, sure, yes. And we made recurves at that time, yeah. Yeah, that was about the beginning of the recurve bow in this country. Recurve bow is not new. The Turks made them thousands of years ago, yeah. But, no, we made them at that time. Yeah.
What about compound bows when they came in? Caused quite a furor and a lot of popularity. What do you think about it, really?
The first compound bows that we saw were samples that were sent up here by the guy that invented them from Harris Allen from Billings, Missouri. And I thought they were terrible. Of course, his first bows were not good looking. One of them was made out of a piece of water pipe with wheels on it. And it's pretty discouraging. And then later, he made some better looking samples. And they were all right, but I still couldn't. I always have had in mind the bent, beautiful bow. And a compound bow is anything but beautiful, in my opinion. This is a conventional type bow that I have here.
This is your modern recurve, the Bear recurve.
It has nice lines, yeah, and it's a takedown bow. But the compound bow is taken over, and it's an easier bow to shoot. The weight drops off as you draw it back. This bow gets tighter as you draw it back. The compound, the cams come into action, and it pulls about half the weight when you get back full draw as it does at the beginning. So that's quite an advantage, yeah.
Is that archery to you?
Well, it's archery. Yeah, sure. You're shooting. You still have to do the same job. You have to draw all that weight, and it gets easier to hold.
But it doesn't have the romance?
No, it doesn't have the romance, no. It has wheels and cables on it.
How about stringing up this bow? Show us the proper way to string.
Well, the proper way to string is to step through it and bend it over your thigh and slip the string on.
Okay.
You got it like that.
There it is, the classic recurve.
That's a takedown recurve is what it is, yeah.
The arrow nock is on the wrong side, though.
Well, I'm left-handed. Yeah.
I know that. I'm just pulling your leg.
Okay.
Left-handed. You shot all of these animals over the years. You've shot more big game animals with a bow than anybody. More records.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I've had a lot of fun doing it. Well, Fred, when I got in the archery business, was in Detroit in 1933. Those were bad years. That was the beginning of the end of the worst depression ever. There were no jobs. And I got in the archery business.
That was Fred Bear, a revered man back in 1983. An unconventional way of shooting, sort of an unconventional attitude towards bow hunting. But he kept all of us in awe. Now, Fred had a great sense of humor. And a lot of people didn't know that. He exhibited that sense of humor at a banquet that we held in the fall of 1983 up at Houghton Lake in conjunction with a bow hunt. Fred was there. I was the MC of the banquet in the old Houghton Lake Playhouse, and we got a chance to see Fred Bear's sense of humor. Due to this one man, and we owe him an awful lot. We should pay him the highest tributes for coming up here. It's a grand honor to welcome Fred Bear.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks very much. Fred, I appreciate the fine introduction. There are a lot of real nice fellows named Fred, in spite of the fact that it's a four-letter word, which Bear is also, and it's quite a weight that I carry around on my shoulders. We're going to have a little fun tonight. I'll be finished. It'll take about 2 or 3 hours. So settle back, unbuckle your belts, and open your ties, and we'll get to it. But before we get into the fun thing, I want to get a little serious for a few minutes. I want to talk about the decline in the quality of the ability of sportsmen to lie. I'm real serious about this. When I was a kid, if a fella said he caught a fish 3 feet long, you could bet your last dollar that it wasn't a bit over 12 inches. If you shot a deer that weighed 300 pounds, you could bet your life also that it probably was a spotted fawn. And sportsmen or outdoorsmen have been traditionally known to be good liars, and I think we've fallen far short, and I'm on a campaign to improve the quality of these things that I talk about. I am suggesting that nobody ever set foot in the woods without an alibi already prepared. You can get you can get caught short now. And I take it back to George Washington. You know, he cut down the cherry tree, and his father, caught him, and he said, "George, did you cut down the tree?" He was absolutely without alibi, and he said, "Yes, father, I can't tell a lie. I did cut down the cherry tree." Well, he was later to become president, and imagine the guy president who can't tell a lie. He could have said, if he'd been prepared, "Yeah, I just came around the corner of the house and I saw a beaver run off in the woods there, and here's all the chips." But he was caught flat-footed. And during my early boyhood, and George Gardner's also, one of the pranks the kids did at Halloween was to push over an outhouse. Now, I realize that it's hard to find an outhouse nowadays, but in those days you always could find some kind of a facility in the back of the house. And this young lad pushed over the outhouse, and his dad happened to come around the corner, and he saw him kind of running off, and he later apprehended him, and he said, "Did you push the outhouse over?" And the kid said, "Yes, father, I cannot tell a lie. I pushed the outhouse over, relying on this George Washington business, And his father beat the hell out of him. And after he could get his breath back, he said, "Well, Dad, George Washington cut down the tree." And he said, "Father, I can't tell a lie. I cut down the tree, and I pushed over the outhouse and say the same thing, and you give me a beating." And the father said, "Well, George Washington probably wasn't in the tree when his father when he cut it down." So, all right, so much for that. I hope you'll bear with me on there and see if we can improve our ability to lie better. We owe that. Okay.
Fred Bear. A tall man, a great man, a pioneer among hunters, the original ambassador for bow hunting. He lived in a good era before hunting became such a controversy and before our DNR became such a political institution. Fred Bear embodies what hunting was and what hunting should be. A food-gathering activity, honest recreation focusing on camaraderie and fun. And that's no lie.
4 times before on a grizzly hunt that fall.